its eyes face forward, just like ours do. Meaning, if a T-Rex is looking at you, it's looking at you.
Well, what the fuck was that?
Why am I seeing a white man play with his nipples? Like, I'm so confused.
Cat's Eye's choreographer getting cooked on Twitter is a prime example of how little people actually respect and value dance as an art form.
And the fact that this person is related to Cat's Eye, their music is fucking terrible. Now I know their choreographer is fucking terrible as well.
Like, the raw's supposed to not look clean, bro. This is a weeble. This is a wall. And of course, this is a bounce. This is a gallop. This is a run.
I'm afraid to say that the krump is actually that deep.
Between Cat's Eye's choreographer Grant Gilmore becoming a meme overnight because all of a sudden the non-dancers of the internet have stumbled upon his videos and are now questioning what the heck they saw, and the krump dancer, aka This is the Weeble, also becoming a meme overnight, a lot of people online are wondering what is going on with the dance world. And so in today's video, we're going to be looking at how dance continues to be an art form that doesn't get taken seriously as much as we may think. But don't get it twisted, you guys. We are also going to touch on how, yes, art is subjective, but it's okay to have opinions and it's okay to call out things that do in fact look a bit strange. And we're also going to have an honest conversation on the role of social media and virality in the dance world. So with that all being said, let's just get started with this week's video. Hi, what's up? Hello YouTube, welcome back to my channel. My name is Melinda, and if this is your first time stumbling upon my channel or seeing my face, welcome. Feel free to hit that subscribe button down below to join this community, but like I will always say, you can make that decision at the very end of this video. But with that all being said, today we are going to be getting into the world of dance. No pun intended. If you know, you know. But to get serious, Grant Gilmore, who is one of Cat's Eye's choreographers, and Miho, king of krump, are both in some serious heat online and at the center of a lot of jokes and a lot of memes.
Baby, you got to go to hell, okay?
Like, people mocking them, just talking about both of them in general and kind of recreating what they saw, and not in a positive way, you know, kind of making fun of the dancing. All right, everyone, so we're gonna learn a new move today, all right? The stimulator. So you wanna just sit right here, you know, get a nice bend going on and grab your fingers like this and just stimulate, all right? You got it? Cool. 5, 6, 7, 8, activate. Fingers. Up, down, down. Woo! Word, go off. Are you being serious right now? Are you guys actually being for real? All right, I'm out of here. So for the sake of this video in particular, I honestly feel obligated, and I think it's only fair, I think it's only fitting that I share my personal credentials as somebody who did in fact grew up. As somebody who did in fact grow up dancing, and dance was my first love. Somewhere between the ages of 8, 9, and 10 is when I started competing, and I stopped competing when I was about 15, 16. I'm 23 now, so the last time I went into a studio to really dance and to actually learn somebody's choreography was probably a couple years ago, but it's been a minute and I actually do miss it. Like, when you stop dancing, any ex-dancers out there, you definitely know that it's nostalgic as f. So whenever something dance related goes viral and there's a lot of discourse around it, I have to tune in and I need to know what's going on. But forgive me for a little self-promo. If you do want to see little clips of me dancing, I actually have a really old video here on my channel of me dancing in high school. Or you could check out my Instagram. I have a highlight reel named Dance where I have a couple clips of me hitting a little 1-2. So if you want to check it out, feel free. So here are a couple comments to give you guys even more context in case you have not seen any of this whatsoever. Y'all wrong AF for hyping him up because this is a hot mess. Kinetic energy pollution. This actually irritated me. Happy to look a mess. How the F did we get to this? But I remember thinking, why are we just now talking about all of this when I started seeing all of the discourse on X? Because I remember seeing these videos of him dancing and, you know, doing his choreography sometime last year or like last summer. So I was thinking, man, y'all are kind of late. But then and there is actually how I realized that these videos of him have now reached the algorithms of non-dancers specifically, because if I'm being honest, it appears appears that non-dancers are going to be the first to really call a spade of spade and to be brutally honest about somebody's dancing, whether they know anything about it or not.
I must be too hard on myself, because if that's the moves of a professional dancer, I'm way closer to a professional dancer than I thought.
Dance content used to be at an all-time high, especially on TikTok. There was definitely a shift, and lifestyle content and other forms of content took over, and dance kind of went downhill a little bit. And so what ends up happening is that a lot of non-dancers and people who don't typically consume a lot of dance-related content may only get a glimpse of dance when it is at its worst. May only get a glimpse of dance when it becomes memeable. And a lot of dancers would also be quick to tell everybody else that they have no place to talk and they have no real right to judge because they don't know anything about dance and anything about different styles of dance and different forms of dance.
Most of you guys have never taken a legitimate dance class in your life, and then you guys have the audacity to be like, oh, these people are gagging at him, like what are they doing, da, da, da.
So there's always going to be a little divide between the dancers and the non-dancers. So like I said, a lot of people had very strong opinions when these videos started resurfacing. However, the overall consensus is that we are all a little bit confused. A lot of people are really just confused with his style of dancing and with his choreography in general.
This is what I'd imagine Remick from Sinners would look like if he was to start teaching a hip-hop class. I also think that it's a very strange interpretation of hip-hop, and by strange I mean it looks bad.
But I just want to put a little disclaimer out here. This is not a place to go and bully the guy. I don't condone any of that. This is not a place to completely attack him as a dancer, because a lot of people really do enjoy Cat's Eye's choreography, and again, he is one of the masterminds behind all of that, so it wouldn't be fair to go and claim that he just can't dance at all or that all of his work sucks, because that's just not factual.
It's highly annoying seeing everyone talk so negatively about Grant Gilmore, and I think there should be respect for people who are just authentically themselves. Yes, you can be entitled to your own opinion, but some of y'all are just talking so nasty about this man.
It's exhausting seeing all these videos hating on this choreographer for him just expressing himself. Like, I get it, you have your own opinion, but it gets to the point where y'all are just flat out bullying him.
But I do also think it's okay to have opinions, and I do think it's okay to call it out when something does look funny and when certain things just seem so out of place, because at some point we just have to be honest with ourselves, and if everybody is sort of agreeing on something and sharing the same sentiment towards something, then clearly it must mean there's a little bit of truth behind it. And I would actually like to bring up the shift in choreography in the dance community. I think a lot of people have noticed it, but I think it might be a more niche conversation, but I'm gonna mention it anyways. This new style of choreography is on the rise, and that includes really fast movement, dancing to the lyrics, kind of avoiding the beat. The best way to really describe it is that it seems like all choreography now is extremely sped up, and it seems like y'all are not taking a breather.
This is no shade or anything, but can somebody explain to me why this new age like choreography is always so fast? It could be an R&B, it can be a slow groovy pop, and the counts will be boom boom cat. Like, I'm confused.
Some of you guys just don't know how to chill and incorporate elements of fast and slow. It seems like some of y'all are constantly in a rush, and now we're losing the art of balance in choreography and having slow movements in certain parts of the dance and then fast movements in others, and kind of knowing how to pick and choose and where to put them.
And another aspect that makes this very overwhelming to watch is how a lot of choreographers today feel as though that they have to choreograph to every audible beat, every audible sound in the song. So it's like they're choreographing to the lyrics plus the rhythm plus the beat plus whatever, you know, details are in the background. So it's like you're dancing to every single part of the song. And so that's what makes these dances so fast.
But I do think there's also been a rise in sort of weird choreography, and the best way I can describe it is a lot of choreographers purposely coming up with very strange looking, weird looking movements to try and stand out and to appear unique and to appear different from the rest.
I feel like so many choreographers are trying to do something different, so they do something like weird, I'm gonna do this weird like arm thing and it's gonna be so different and cool and unique, and it looks just out of place in the middle of their dance because
because you can tell that they're just trying to be different.
But if I'm being honest, sometimes it doesn't read the way they may want it to read. And sometimes all it really does is sort of work against the vision they may have had, because it's very obvious when you are trying to force these weird looking, unique, strange movements to try and appear different versus creating a combo that is cohesive and just really makes sense and really works well. And you may have these strange elements inside of the choreography, but it just works. It just makes sense. You could tell when it's forced and you can tell when it's natural, but in Grant Gilmore's case, it's definitely not appealing to a wide audience in the way he probably envisioned it would, or maybe he just doesn't care. Have we ever thought about that? Doesn't mean we all necessarily need to mess with it, but you can do you. And everybody in his classes seem to like the choreography. I mean, they're there, they're paying for it, they're participating, they're doing the choreography, and I guess they're killing it in their own right. In general though, this conversation has definitely showed who are the dancers and who are not. And I do think it is important to mention that a lot of non-dancers obviously lack a lot of dance knowledge and don't know a lot about different styles of dance, which is why we will get into a little bit of history to provide some context, especially related to krump as a dance form. Back in the early 2000s, krump, which stands for Kingdom Radically Uplifted Mighty Praise, originated in South Central Los Angeles after its predecessor, clowning.
It's your boy Thomas Johnson, aka Tommy Clown. Been around since 1992. They call me the godfather of krump, and they call me the father of clowning.
Clowning as a dance form was used in efforts to make positive change in the community.
When you look at the type of world we live in, it's a negative environment. I came from one. Negativity is going to always be around. You want teenagers to change. You want these young boys and girls to change. You got to give them something to do.
Clowning essentially led to krumping, which was pioneered by Cesar LaRon Willis, aka Tight Eyes.
He is the creator of krump.
And Joe artist Big Mijo Ratty. Unfortunately, some people often label krumping as spazzing. Y'all are derogatory. But krumping is definitely unique in its movements overall, its intensity, its aggressiveness, and I say that with quotations because I don't want people to take that the wrong way.
What makes someone krump?
Krump is not a dance move. I have to remember that myself. Like my wife tells me, remember, krump is not a dance. I'm like, oh yeah, even though I'm tight-eyes. It's like a lifestyle thing. It's how you are. I like everything extreme, high energy, and krump is the only thing that does that for me.
So do I think having this knowledge is going to change people's opinions of the Weeble guy, which first of all, let's put some respect on his name because he is actually one of the founders of krump. He is Mijo, the king of krump himself. Like I said, I understand where people's opinions are coming from because as somebody who may have never seen krumping before, not me, but some of y'all, I can see why it is very easy to judge and to make jokes about and to mock and to do XYZ things that y'all have been doing on this internet.
I'm afraid to say that the krump hate is actually that deep. I'm gonna be so woke right now, but listen, hear me out, okay? Mockery of cultures that have been built from marginalized people and people that have been discriminated against, their cultures that are basically not mainstream. And it's the constant repetitive kind of dislike and uncomfortable feeling that people have towards it. Now, I'm not saying that you have to immediately be like, oh wow, that's so cool. And you could even say that the whole point of it is to make people feel uncomfortable, which it kind of is when you're in a battle. People looking, the masses of people don't know about krump, they will feel uncomfortable and they will feel fucking weirded out. Because like it'll be like, why are you moving like that?
But when I first saw it, I was kind of on both ends. I didn't think anything of it. I kind of thought, he ate that shit up. But at the same time, part of me could, laugh at it just a little bit because I have been there in real time, in real life, taking a krump workshop and kind of feeling the same way when I watched the teacher because I didn't really understand it and I didn't really understand the movements and I couldn't even execute them properly myself. Like I said, it won't be everybody's cup of tea, but I think as dancers and as an ex-dancer myself, I can still find some respect for it as an art form in general. And so I may giggle a little bit here and there, but at the same time, I definitely respect it and will give credit where it's due. So truthfully, a lot of non-dancers and casual consumers of dance may only know certain aspects about dance because of popular movies and TV shows that were dance related. did. For example, through iconic movies like Honey, Stomp the Yard, Street Dance, the Step Up franchise, shout out Moose if you know you know for carrying in those movies, maybe even Bring It On. And of course, pop culture moments where some crews may have become famous like the Jabberwockies or Royal Family, which we will talk about a little bit in this video, or trendsetters like Kid the Great and Ayo and Teo, and that was a whole phenomenon at some point. And of course, through many dancers and choreographers that really became famous and made a name for themselves. A lot of people are struggling to associate a style of dance to Grant Gilmore's choreography. I really don't blame y'all, because even I am having a hard time really associating where to put him. Some people would call it hip hop, but that may be a little bit disrespectful.
If you think that video of Grant Gilmore dancing is an attempt at doing hip hop, you are grossly misinformed to what hip hop dance actually entails.
I think it sort of falls into the category of commercial dance. Commercial dance is a blended and mix of styles that is made to sell, whether it's for tours, TVs, commercials, etc. And as mentioned earlier, hip hop is historically rooted in street culture and from breakdancing, with foundational elements of popping and locking and crumping as well. Realistically, when you are seeing a performance of any type of singer out there and they got their background dancers, you know, the dancing is usually going to be a mixture of various styles. A lot of the times they are going to just blend everything together because they want to give you a performance. So I think the concept of commercial dance being a blend of different styles started to become really popular, because sometimes it may look like they're just doing hip hop, but then all of a sudden they're doing a pirouette. You know what I mean? There are many choreographers who are definitely making a name for themselves just in general as strong choreographers and dancers, but also in the commercial world, in the industry, because they are working for somebody, working for big time celebrities and artists. And Paris Goebel, honorable mention, and she's from New Zealand. She's made a huge name for herself, especially with her crew, Royal Family. She definitely started a whole new wave, and I truly think that she caused a new shift in dance where her style really just started to become something that a lot of people were starting to take little bits and pieces from. Her choreography was definitely known for having a lot of quick and sharp movement. It just made sense and it really all came together. They were definitely known for just having very intense choreography and very expressive facials while on stage performing. So all of these different factors became very easy to spot, and so when you would see it, you would just kind of know right away that it was most likely a Paris Goebel choreography. And Paris Goebel worked with so many people from Justin Bieber, J-Lo, Nicki Minaj, Ariana Grande, Ciara, Janet Jackson, and of course Rihanna. She has choreographed for Rihanna's Savage X Fenty shows, and also she is behind the masterful, amazing choreography during Rihanna's Super Bowl performance. You may have just been watching the Super Bowl that night and you have definitely seen a Paris Goebel masterpiece. People definitely commented that some of her choreography or some of her movements were, you know, unique and maybe a little bit strange at first or just very different, but you could definitely recognize her style and you could truly see when people may have been inspired by it. But I do think Grant Gilmore may be inspired by Paris's choreography, and I wouldn't be surprised if he was.
The choreographer for Cat's Eye is basically a photocopy of a photocopy, because he's very clearly inspired by Paris Goebel.
And it's also not a bad thing if he is, because in all realness, he is kind of doing a lot in his choreography and it is very intense, very expressive. So it's kind of just funny to see the similarities there, but in no way, shape, or form am I comparing the two. I think Paris is definitely in a league of her own, but that also doesn't take away from Grant Gilmore himself, because like I said, definitely in the beginning of this video, I do think he is still a respectable dancer. And although I may not like what he does, he is still someone who can dance. I just don't like his choreography whatsoever, and I think I only like it so far when I see what he does for Cat's Eye, but that's just me, and I know a lot of people do share that opinion as well, but that still doesn't take away from his ability to dance. All right, let's not get the two confused. But I do think a lot of dancers definitely feel the hit sometimes when things like this happen and go viral, because we already just know that dance is sometimes not respected enough or not taken seriously enough by a large majority of the population. And I definitely think dancers don't want to feel misrepresented as a community in general. And that's not me saying whatsoever that Grant and Miho are disrupting the image of dancers and the dance community. But because Grant does record his classes, which a lot of choreographers do nowadays, that's just the age we live in. And so some people may argue that the reason why he does all these very weird moves, like the nipple twister and whatever that was and the crawling on the floor. Some people may just say that it's because he is just trying to get clicks and views online.
Grant Gilmore, and again, I could be wrong, and I'd love to be proven wrong, is I feel like some dancers are taking advantage of social media by posting the most unhinged, the most convoluted, like polarizing dance material just to get in front of as many eyes as possible. Because when you get like, I don't know, a couple million views, you're gonna get people to talk about it. You're gonna get people to react, to comment, to share, and that's basically the whole premise of like why you're posting on social media, right? But what I'm having a hard time with, and I think this is what some dancers are talking about, or what the message is I can't really tell if this is for the purpose of like actually sharing what makes you different, what makes you unique, and like living in your truth, or are you doing this just for shock value?
And that's very possible. It could really just be his own personal marketing technique, but I also do think that really just is his style. But social media has definitely become the place for dancers to try and really put themselves out there, because I do think that the dancers behind the scenes who are auditioning traditionally to try and book certain gigs, I do think they are met with a lot of inconveniences and definitely a lot of unfairness, because nowadays everything is about your online portfolio. If you have a lot of views, if you have a lot of followers, if you as a dancer are making a name for yourself on social media, not necessarily just by working with people in the real world. There are definitely some aspiring professional dancers who have horror stories of being denied or just not wanted because they don't have a huge social media following. And that already is just really sad and tragic, because it kind of just defeats the purpose of all the hard work that I know dancers put on a day-to-day basis to hopefully book these positions and to book these gigs. But unfortunately, that seems to be a part of the game nowadays. And so everybody's fighting for a shining spot and everybody's promoting themselves on social media. Trying to get visibility through dance on social media is not always an easy feat, because there are so many great dancers out there. But it is sad that a lot of dancers just don't get the credit they deserve, the payments they deserve, and the recognition they deserve. The dance world is definitely one that is known for being very rigorous, and it does require a good amount of hustle, especially if you are trying to break through and be a part of that professional industry. And even then, if you do book several gigs, most of the time you are in the background. You are the backup to the performer. So you're not really getting that much shine, that much attention, unless you truly make a name for yourself on social media. But in this new age and on social media, of course, dance has definitely fallen victim to being laughed at and, not taken seriously, as I mentioned, and a lot of people don't even understand good choreography. And of course, we also live in a cringe culture where everything that is unusual or something out of the norm, people automatically just attribute it as cringe. We can't have it all. Again, art is completely subjective, but I guess in Grant Gilmore's case specifically, I do understand the pushback and I do understand why the feedback has not been positive. With that all being said, you guys, that's pretty much all I have to say related to this conversation. I clearly am very passionate about dance. If you are a dancer as well and you're passionate about dance, comment down below. Let me know your thoughts about all of this. And even if you are a non-dancer and you don't know anything about dance, also feel free to comment down below, because I just love to read all of your comments, your thoughts, and your opinions, as long as we keep the discussion respectful. And to all my dancers out there, keep grinding, keep shining, keep working hard. Hopefully you will make a name for yourself. Don't forget to show some love on the way out. Like this video, hype it up, share it with a friend to join the conversation, and subscribe to join the community. And I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.